Hi guys, happy Thursday. So I don't know if any of you ever watch these from the very beginning or to the end, but I never really know when it's gonna start so I'm sitting here making weird faces and about to drink my water because I'm not really sure if I'm live or not yet. So if any of you guys watch them, we're probably laughing at me a little bit. And then at the very end, it takes me a couple minutes to hit the finish button and to get offline. So it's the same thing, like I'm making funny faces as I do that. And if you guys ever watch the whole thing, you're probably like, what is this girl doing? But anyways, so today's live, I am going to talk about 5 simple steps to a healthier you that require little to no time. And the reason that I am doing a lot of different videos and things like that on time is because I did a survey a little ways back, and I did a lot of kind of like market research calls with different women and busy moms to see what some of our biggest struggles were when it came to maintaining or creating a healthy lifestyle. And the top one by far was having the time to do it. So I really dove into some of the resources I had, some of the knowledge and experience of my own, and also what I learned through my health coaching program, and put together sort of a comprehensive resource, which is the freebie that I've been sharing a little bit about on my page, in my group, on my Instagram page. And what that is a free 3-part crash course, Making Time for Health. My guide is a busy mom, but it's really for anyone who really has anything else going on in their life in addition to trying to be healthy and maintain their healthy lifestyle. So it includes a lot of different things. Really quickly, I'll give you guys a few of them, but you can go to the link I'll drop in the comments in this video, or even in the caption afterwards. You can take a look and see if you think it would be something that you'd want to take a look at. Includes tips, tricks, strategies that can help you create or maintain a healthy lifestyle regardless of what's going on. So really, I tried to narrow down some of my top tips and what has been most helpful for me and for other people that I've worked with to maintain somewhat of a lifestyle regardless of what is changing around them. My simple approach to shopping, planning, cooking, you guys have heard a little bit about that if you've listened to my videos. This is actually pretty much a full breakdown of what I do step by step, and I'm going to be talking about that again in the lives, which I'll touch on next week. My process for cooking once, eating 3 times, repurposing leftovers creatively, so it's not just eating the same thing times 4 after you cook it, turning it into different meals with the same protein and vegetables and that kind of thing. It's going to have some self kind of prompts to help you get clear on what is most important to in your life, and helping you better align that with your schedule and your goals and what you're actually doing, how you're spending your time. Show you how to fit in efficient workouts with the time that you do have, and help you figure out the real reason you're stuck, which may not be what you think. So a lot of good stuff in here. If this sounds at all interesting to you, go to the link that I'll drop in here afterwards. It's a free downloadable PDF guide, and then I'm doing 2 live lessons next week, next Wednesday and next Thursday, the 27th and 28th at 9 o'clock, same time. So you guys will hear a lot more about that if you're in the group, which obviously you are because you're seeing this live, but I wanted to let you guys know that's where this video, the concept of this video came from. The 5 steps to a healthier you with little to no additional time. So I'm just going to dive right in. Basically what this is touching on some things that you are likely already doing, but modifying them a little bit to help them reach your health goals and carry on your healthy lifestyle just by kind of adjusting some of the things you're already doing. And something that came up as I was talking to somebody a little bit about this actually today is that a lot of these things are so small that they feel so insignificant, and like, why should I even bother doing them? Because it's not going to help me lose 50 pounds or lose 20 pounds or whatever your health goal is, like overnight. And that is very true. A lot of these things that I'm sharing are not going to literally help you drop 50 pounds tomorrow, but that is not the point of doing these things. The point of starting small and doing these things is to show your brain and teach yourself that you can actually make commitments and honor them, and that you can build momentum to start to add on more and more. So it's really about the process of doing that, and not specifically about the task itself. There will be benefits benefit in doing every single one of these things that I'm going to share, but the benefit of doing them and starting small and doing each one of these little things is really to build that momentum and that confidence in yourself that you're actually going to do what you say you're going to do. So that is the whole point behind it. And yeah, so I just wanted to stress that, because some of these things might feel like you hear people say, park your car a little bit further away at the grocery store or take the stairs. No, you're not going to lose 50 pounds doing that, but it is going to start moving your mind in the right direction that you want to be going in. And I don't know if any of you guys have heard of something called the compound effect. It's a book that was written by an author, Darren Hardy, I believe his name is. I'm trying to look at my notes and see. I know I wrote this down. But basically it's the concept that we are what we repeatedly do, not what we do some of the time. That each little step that we're taking in the right direction is a step. That each little step will eventually lead to our success. So it's kind of just like the domino effect idea, that it will eventually pay off. And really, this is how I got started the final time, is I started taking really small, consistent steps in the right direction, making tiny mindset shifts. My biggest thing this last final time was going from the binge. I was doing a lot of restricting and then binging on the weekends. So for me, this last final time, the one main mindset shift that I started to focus on was not telling myself that I could not have certain foods. I was no longer going to do that all week long, which is what I was used to. I could have anything I wanted to eat anytime, but I got to choose. And that was something that was huge for me, because it took me out of that you can't have, now you can binge on this whole weekend. And that was huge for me. Such a tiny, tiny little thing. Didn't take me any additional time, but it literally changed my life. So that was one huge thing for me. Another one was when I started reducing my artificial sweeteners that I was having in my diet. Super small, didn't take me any additional time, but after I started to do that, it really just led me on the progression that eventually led to me really consuming very, very minimal added sugars in my diet at all. It was a long, slow process, but now I am way beyond where I ever thought I would be, and especially where I was for like 10 years, where I was just going back and forth. So just a few bonuses to doing some of these small things. All right, so I'm going to dive into the steps here, and a few key points I just want to throw out really quick before I start these. It's not all or nothing. You don't have to do any of these all the time, and I probably wouldn't even suggest that you did if you're just starting off. These are things that you can incorporate some of the time, try them out, see how you feel about them, and it never has to be perfection. It's more about progress and actually taking the steps and moving in the direction that you want to go. Start as big or small as you need to. Any step is a step. If you're the type of person that really does do better with a complete overhaul or going to the extreme, try that out. But if that does not work for you, scale it back and start small. I say that a lot because it's really how habits are developed, is with small, steady steps and sticking with them. Consistency and commitment is huge. Evaluate where you're at now personally. Some of these things that I'm sharing are probably maybe some of you guys may have done them years ago and they may seem so basic, and other people who are going to listen to this video may really have no idea even what I'm talking about. So because of everybody's at a different point. So definitely take a look at where you're at and how this can apply to your life and modify and adjust for you. Okay, so finally diving in. Number 1. Start reading labels. And for some of you on this call, I see 2 of you who I know you guys read labels, but not everybody does. And it can be so eye-opening. Doesn't take any additional time. Okay, it may take an additional minute. When you're at the grocery store, when you're at your house, literally just start flipping over the jar, flipping over the package, and seeing what you are consuming. Because every single person that I've talked to that has started doing this regularly is shocked. Myself, I am shocked. A couple weeks ago, I bought a jar of Kalamata olives and they had glucose in them, which is sugar. Would never think that my Kalamata olives had sugar in them. So it's just really, really eye-opening and amazing what is being put into our food, and things are changing on a regular basis. So it's not, if you were buying something regularly and maybe it's not organic or, one of the foods that probably wouldn't change and you've been buying it for years, check it again, because you may be surprised some of the ingredients they are slowly starting to sneak into your food. So start reading labels. That's huge. Takes you an additional minute just to start opening your eyes to what you are consuming. Something I've heard a few times is if you don't know what it is, if your brain doesn't know what it is, your gut doesn't know what it is either. Most likely. I'm not talking about a vegetable we've never heard of, but an ingredient, an additive, preservative, something that sounds chemically. You may want to Google it and see what it is, because I do that all the time and I am so shocked at some of these things. Like I bought marshmallows the other day for my daughter to do s'mores. Can't even remember what it was, but I Googled one of the ingredients. I shouldn't even have looked at the ingredients. I threw them all in the garbage because it was like aluminum, something that was, you're only allowed to incorporate a certain amount of it in foods because it's toxic. So just an example of, things that we would really be shocked about. Okay. Next, I would say, I want to see if I didn't touch on any of this stuff, but I think I did. Oh, when you're buying, like bagged, produce or anything at the store that's like comes frozen and you're microwaving it, try to look at the ingredients and also the nutrient contents, sorry guys, I can't talk right now. The nutrition label, because I did a comparison the other day. I was looking at the garlic and herb cauliflower, the rice cauliflower, and the plain. And the garlic and herb had something like 300 grams of sodium and the plain has 20. So that's something to look at as you're reading your labels, even when it comes to produce, when you're buying frozen and things that aren't just, simple one ingredient items. Reading your labels kind of goes back to that. All right, number 2, food swaps. So basically we want to focus on the most nutrient dense food that we can ever have in our diet. That is kind of my whole approach to eating, is informed and intentional eating. And something that I highly suggest with my clients is just focusing on the most nutrient dense foods that you can consume, because food is really here to fuel us, and that is really what's going to leave us feeling our best, is when we're doing that. So food swaps, and these are things you guys have definitely heard of, but some of the time, this doesn't have to be all of the time. Swapping cauliflower rice for regular rice. And I've heard a million times cauliflower rice, sometimes it's an acquired taste. Season it the way that you would season regular rice and add in healthy fats. I cannot stress that enough. Add in ghee, add in butter if you eat butter, coconut oil, olive oil, avocado oil, some of those healthy fats. Seasonings you love, mix it up, add in some coconut aminos if you use that, a little bit of soy if you use that. It can be really good. It is not going to taste like rice because it's not rice. It's cauliflower that is grated, but it can be really good. So that's just an example. What are your side dishes for your meals? Are you having all starch? Are you having all processed packaged foods with your protein, pasta or rice? Can you swap out a veggie for one of those? Sauteed, seared, steamed, roasted, super easy. I'm happy to give you guys a million ways to cook vegetables if you need them. But you're already in the kitchen, you're already cooking, you're already at your stove. So why not cook one vegetable side dish instead of, 2 starches, or maybe serve them over the cauliflower rice instead of regular rice one night a week. So these are options just for food swaps. When it comes to your snacks, which I'm going to touch on a little bit later, what are you eating? Are you having chips? Are you having a candy bar? Can you substitute that out for something else? More of like a balanced mini meal. Can you substitute it out for like almonds or nuts and berries? Something that's a little bit better than what you are currently having. Can you meet yourself somewhere in the middle from the candy bar and, the raw vegetables? Can you meet somewhere in the middle when you're having snacks and that kind of thing? That's the whole idea of food swaps. If you guys have questions on this or need ideas, send me what you're eating or a typical meal in your household, and I will give you some ways to just make super simple swaps. Won't take you any additional time to sneak in more vegetables and maybe crowd out some of those foods that aren't as nutrient dense. Serving protein over lettuce, we've all heard that, making it a really good salad with some healthy fats, nuts, seeds, some cleaner dressings. That's a great way to just make it a little bit more nutrient dense and lower calorie, especially if weight loss is a goal, which a lot of us in this group, that is our goal, weight loss or maintenance. All right, so next one is swap sedentary activities for moving ones, for active. That's something my family has been doing a ton, and I know it has a lot to do with the quarantine. We're ready to just get out of our house, but a lot of times when before we would like do a puzzle or play a game or sit around and watch TV, we're going for walks. We're checking out new parks. We're exploring the area. That is something that I encourage you to do with your family, your significant others, when you go and meet friends. I mean, we have something called the Beltline here. I know some of you guys are from Atlanta, so we will go and walk the Beltline and grab grab our coffee or our drink or our appetizer, but we will walk, to the location or back. Sometimes we just go and do the Beltline just as a different activity, go for bike rides, rent a scooter, do something fun like that that is active compared to sedentary. Things we're doing anyways are social activities, but it's a way to just incorporate some movement and get yourself going in that right direction. No, it's not going to be considered a workout, and you're not going to lose 50 pounds doing it, but you're starting to move your mind in that direction that you want to go in. Drink more water. That doesn't take any additional time, except, obviously you're probably going to have to go to the bathroom a little bit more. That may take you a few extra minutes, but that's something that's completely free. We can all do it, and it's going to crowd out some of those other things you're having throughout the day. I have worked with people who drank a lot of coffee or drank a lot of soda. They started drinking more water, maybe sparkling water, adding in some fresh fruit, and they were able to crowd out some of those sugary beverages that they were having. So drink more water, takes no additional time, and it's something you can do right now. I have worked with people that literally drank no water all day to people who were drinking like half a gallon and wanted to up it. And you have to evaluate where you're at and see where you want to be. So if you're not having any, work on a glass a day, work on 2 glasses a day, and kind of go up from there. And I'm telling you guys, you will notice a big difference in your skin, in the way you feel, your energy, everything, if you start to do that. Need tips on any of these things, let me know. You really want to incorporate some of these things, you're not sure how, or you want to take it to the next level, let me know. I'm always happy to help. Drop it below this video, and I will do another short little clip video on any of this if you guys ever have questions. Removing and reducing sugary beverages. This should be number 1 because this is something that you will probably see the most benefit out of if you're someone who drinks teas or sodas and you're trying to lose weight or you're trying to see a big difference in your health. Sugar is one of the most inflammatory, like I said, I can't talk tonight, guys. I'm so sorry. Things that you can consume. One of the ingredients that leads to inflammation more than anything else. And most chronic health conditions, illnesses, diseases are caused by inflammation. So when we're consuming sugar, we know what we're doing to our body. So obviously we all know it's not really something that's beneficial, but reducing that or removing it from your diet is something that does not take us any additional time. It actually may save us time, and it's going to save us money if you're someone who's buying, soda or some of those large sugary coffee drinks on a regular basis. So the other benefits you'll see if you reduce sugar from your diet is you're probably going to see weight loss. They're non-nutrient dense calories. They serve no purpose other than temporary taste, really. They can cause continuously elevated blood sugar levels that take your body out of fat burning mode, and they distort your hunger and satiety hormones, causing overeating and increased risk of obesity, which is obviously the opposite of what a lot of us want, because we're in here for reaching our health goals and weight loss and that kind of thing. Studies also show it's highly addictive, which I have definitely seen myself, and I literally see in my little girl when we give her sugar and she is throwing a fit 2 seconds later because she wants more and more. But yes, there are multiple studies out there that show it's equal to or more addictive than cocaine, which is really kind of outrageous. All right, now ways to do it. Number 1, I would say you really have to know your why for wanting to remove sugar from your diet. If you're doing it because you just know it's not good for you, you really don't have like an underlying reason to remove it from your diet, you're probably not going to be as likely to do it. So you really have to know your core reason for wanting to remove or reduce anything in your diet. So that's number 1. Number 2, I would say make it positive versus negative. For me, you have to figure out what thought works for you, but for me, it really works when I base it on coming from a place of self-care. Like, I don't want to consume this much of whatever it is because it doesn't leave me feeling good. It doesn't help me feel like I'm taking as good of care of myself as I could. So that's where I like to come from, a place of positivity and self-care compared to, I need to lose 50 pounds so I can't have that, because for me, it never worked long-term. So I definitely encourage you to make it a positive thing and coming from a place of self-care rather than beating yourself up. So my why specifically for not having an excessive amount of sugar in my diet is because it doesn't help me maintain my weight or the way that I want to feel on a regular basis. There really, for me, is no benefit to consuming excessive amounts of it. I have no problem having it on occasion, but it's just really unnecessary for me to have it in every meal. So you really have to figure out what your reason is and what makes sense for you. Start as small as you need to. What's realistic and attainable for you? How much sugar are you consuming currently? And what can you realistically reduce or remove? Are you someone who needs to completely cut it out? Or, are you someone who, like me, needs to start with just removing the artificial sweeteners because they're 10 times sweeter than sugar? That's why I did it that way, because you just want more and more sugar because you're used to that artificially sweetened taste. And I'm happy to talk more on that. I have before, because that was a process in itself. But you really have to look at where you are. Again, looking at labels and just seeing how much sugar really is in your food, because I guarantee that you would be shocked. I cannot tell you how many people that I talk to and we evaluate, how much sugar they're having depending on their goals. And everyone says, I don't eat a lot of sweets. I don't eat hardly any sugar. But then when we actually take a look at what they are consuming, there's sugar in everything. It is literally put in all of our foods because it's addictive and it makes us want to buy more of them, especially processed and packaged foods. I'm not talking obviously like fruits and vegetables, but the things that you buy that come in a package or a box, a bag, that kind of thing. The next one is planning for when you're trying to reduce or remove sugar out of your diet, planning for where you will struggle ahead of time. If you know you go somewhere all the time, you always have like a large glass of soda or sweet tea or something that's very, very sugary, a huge frappuccino when you go, out with coworkers to Starbucks, have a plan ahead of time and make sure that you honor that commitment that you made to yourself. See how you feel after. Can you just reduce the size? What can you do that's going to leave you feeling good, but also not overly uncomfortable in the situation? Knowing it's not going to be easy, because it never is, but that you can handle it. That once we get through that period of discomfort and where we're pushed just a little bit out of what our comfort zone, what we're used to feeling, just eating and drinking those foods and drinks, that is where we are going to really be on our way to changing. All right, last with the sugar is don't give in to your cravings the majority of the time. That was absolutely huge for me. The way that I have heard it explained is your brain, when you have a craving and you are wanting sweets or anything else, it's like a toddler in a store begging for a candy bar. It is going to keep repeatedly whining and crying and saying that your brain wants that sweet, that salty, whatever it is. And every single time we give into it, we are literally training our brain that that's what we do. When you ask for it, I give it to you. When you ask for it, I give it to you. And it makes it harder and harder to break that habit of giving into your cravings. So a lot of times I'll see people say that when they're craving something sweet, they'll have a healthier option like berries or something like that. And that is something that I absolutely try not to do the majority of the time, because when you do, you are still feeding into your brain. When it's wanting something sweet, you are having something sweet. So your brain does not realize that that's a chocolate chip cookie or berries. Yes, it's lower in calories, so that's great overall for your health goals and weight loss and maybe somewhere to start. But in the end, I would highly suggest that you move away from feeding into a craving at all and save maybe your sweet treats or whatever it is that you want to have for when you intentionally plan to have them and not when you're craving them and have the urge. For me, that was absolutely huge. I have way less cravings now. I do still have them. I just handle them differently, like I mentioned. I just acknowledge them for what they are. They're literally a thought in my mind that is saying you need to have sweets, but I know that I don't. I know that that is completely separate from the action that I actually take. I can sit there and just have that. And then I can take empowered action. If I decide that I want to have a cookie when I'm wanting one, I can, but I also know that I'm feeding into that habit. All right, a few more things here. Eat slower and more intentionally. Doesn't take you any more time. I try to look at it as your front door. You don't want random people coming into your house without having a reason for being there. Why would you want random food going into your mouth without knowing why it's there? So just literally slowing down and thinking about every single thing that goes into your mouth, into your front door. Why are you eating it and what purpose does it have? Do you love it? And it doesn't even matter, but just slowing down and thinking about, what is this food and why am I putting it into my mouth? Is it doing me any good? So that's something that you can do that literally takes no additional time. Just take, okay, I'm sorry, maybe a few minutes, because I'm saying that you slow down. But you know, it's just something that you will want to start doing on a regular basis, and it's going to make a big difference. You're going to eat less if weight loss is your goal, and you're going to feel better about it in the end. And eating slower is kind of along the same lines of that. Lastly is snacking. I touched on this a little bit before. If weight loss is one of your goals, weight maintenance, or really just creating a healthier lifestyle, I always suggest that people take a look at snacking, because as we grow up, many times snacking just becomes a habit, something we do at certain periods of the day, especially if, you know, you're in a situation with where you're bored, you're looking for a distraction, you're dealing with some type of emotion that you really just don't want to feel, and you find yourself snacking. Just take a minute and ask yourself why you're eating again. Why am I snacking? Because that's something that you can eliminate if it's not serving you pretty much immediately, and that will save you time. It will not take you any more time. For myself, I have something that I call like a food rule. It sounds like very structured and strict, but it's really not. It just helps me when it comes to those situations. I eat for one of two reasons. I'm hungry and I eat food that's fueling me, so I have a snack that's like a mini meal if I'm hungry. Or the other one is a rare, unique, pleasurable experience. So basically, if I'm not hungry and I'm out like at a restaurant or on vacation and it's food that I really want to try or I really want to experience, that's the other reason why I eat something. And then I decide intentionally, you know, the portion that I want to eat with my mind, not with my hands and a plate, and then I eat that. So I always encourage people to ask themselves, do you want a snack? Why are you snacking? And what are you eating? Because a lot of times people don't even ask themselves those questions. We're just on autopilot, and we do it because the food is there, because it's snack time at the office and everybody gets something at 2 o'clock. But we don't even realize that we don't have to do that. And if we are not reaching our health goals or reaching our weight loss goals, sometimes those are the types of things that can really creep in and we can easily eliminate. You know, obviously it's a process. It takes time, it takes planning, and it takes commitment to yourself and following through with that, but it's something that you can absolutely do. So just a quick run through for anybody who dropped or stopped in a little bit later on, just some things that you can do that don't require a lot of time to get yourself closer to a healthy lifestyle. Food swaps, so swapping out more nutrient-dense foods for the foods that aren't as heavy in nutrients. So vegetables for, you know, white rice or pasta, not all the time, but on occasion, adding in an easy side dish of vegetables instead of, you know, a double starch, something like that. If you guys have questions or need ideas for that, I'm always happy to provide those. Swap sedentary activities for moving ones. Drink more water, super easy, doesn't take any additional time. Remove or reduce sugary beverages, sodas, sugars in your coffee. Just slowly start to reduce those, or remove completely if that is something that works better for you. Eat slower and more intentionally, and ask yourself why you're snacking. So that is pretty much it for today. Again, want to remind you guys, if you haven't already signed up for the freebie, I will drop the link below this video and in the caption for you to do that. It is my 3-part free crash course to making time for health. My guide is a busy mom, but it's really good for anyone who has other things going on but still wants to have a healthy lifestyle. So if you guys have any questions or anything you'd like covered in one of these lives or a video in itself, please let me know, because I am more than happy to put together some content, other resources that would really help you guys. That is where I get all of my ideas, and the reason that I'm doing this is to help other people with some of the things that I struggled with. So definitely let me know, drop it in the comments, send me a message, and I'm happy to do that. But I hope you guys have a good